Welcome. We are the Star Teachers. Thank you for joining us in this moment of the eternal now. We are so very grateful to all of you for being with us during this live transmission or listening at any point in your own time. As you do, you find that the energy that comes across on the carrier wave of our words and the information that comes across specifically for each one of you, depending on who is participating, will come through in the perfect way and at the perfect time for each of you. So your friend may be listening at the same time as you and may receive a completely different message and different types of energy work, healing, balancing, upgrading of your DNA. All of that occurs during these transmissions. We're so grateful that you're joining us whenever you're joining us. Today's message is one that is extremely important, and it's one that we've been giving for many, many years. It's never more important than right in this moment. The message is, you must, as a species, but in particular, as an individual facet of the jewel that is your species, begin to consciously release from all fear. Now, what does that mean? Fear is nothing more than believing the worst case scenario can happen in any situation. Because all situations are part of the great reality that is life, of course, anything can happen. But it only happens as you consciously focus on it. The more you focus on something, the more it becomes your reality. And so, what we've been trying to teach you, what we've been trying to share with you over these years, and particularly right now in this very pinnacle time of your species growth, is that what your feeling state is, the intensity of it, and the intensity and the duration and the focus of what your thoughts, words, and actions are what create your reality. So yes, you may look around you today and see that the world is in chaos and disorder, that there are people out there who are causing violence, divisiveness, pain, suffering, and are wanting to be in control. However, none of that need affect you, nor anyone you know, if each of you individually begins to focus on not what is happening out there, but what is developing in here. Your outer world is merely a reflection of your inner world. Your inner universe is all that really exists. Everything you see and experience outside of yourself is a projection of your thoughts, your feelings. And so we encourage you to take a good look as you turn inward today when we begin to give you a little bit of guidance later on in this transmission, to go within and ask yourself exactly what is it that you're truly afraid of. For most humans, the answer is simple. When you distill it down to the very lowest denominator, you're all afraid of death. And on a secondary plateau of that, you're afraid of pain and suffering. However, dear friends, dear future ancestors, because that's what you are to us, we want to remind you that you are simply focused on a reality that is nothing more than a construct that you all developed together. It's a science laboratory to experiment with the feeling state. And that means all feelings across the board. However, many of you, so many of you, almost all of you, especially those of you who are listening now, have pretty much played out every experiment, every exploration you could have in that tiny little science lab called third dimensional Earth life. And you're tired of it. It's boring, it's repetitive, it's tedious, and it's somewhat annoying or even pain-inducing. That longing you have to go home, and we know you know what we mean. That pain that you feel that surrounds the helplessness of the situations that you encounter in the world. All of that are just merely signals to you, to your conscious awareness from your soul, that it's time to move on. It is time to create something better. You've learned all you're going to learn here. You've extracted so much information, and it's helped you to grow. And whether the people around you seem to be getting it or not, maybe you even feel like you aren't getting it yet. Please know you are. It's all a construct. It's like a simulation where everyone goes who decides to go, who's brave enough to go, to explore these different states of being. In the third dimensional Earth human life, that is the exploration of feelings. And that contains the entire spectrum, not just good feelings, but the entire spectrum, from the deepest fears, the darkest, most confusing concepts, to the highest level of joy, peace, love, and abundance, of happiness. So, many of you now have been able to discern which part of the spectrum you really want to live within. And we bet that it's on that end, the one that is more contained towards the unconditional love, peace, harmony, and happiness part of the spectrum. So how do you get there? How do you get there? How do you sustain that? How do you make that your reality? Well, please know, if you can imagine it, it already exists. And please know that everything that has ever been imagined, everything that has ever been thought, felt, spoken, or acted out, is a reality on some frequency. But there are infinite frequencies, and in each frequency, there is at least one version of you acting out your life path on that frequency. And so you have access to all of it because it's all you, and it's all connected to this you right here. Furthermore, we are all connected because we are all one entity. When you zoom out your perspective, as you become more and more self-aware, you will see that there is no separation. Therefore, there is no need to fear, hate, revile, or resist anything or anyone. It's all connected. The consequences of not resisting or resisting are merely part of this construct. In the grander reality of what we call the universe, the YO universe, that which is all that is you, all of these things are in perfection and balance. Each one of them, no matter how difficult or maybe even reviling they are to you at this moment, as you gaze upon it, are just one pixel, one dot of color on one tiny piece of this enormous puzzle. If you could zoom out as we are and see that puzzle from the perspective where we exist, you would see that it all fits together perfectly, and all of it has meaning and purpose, and all of it is good. Even the most dark, evil things that you can imagine have a purpose. We know this is hard for you to understand, so please just try to flow with the words. As you do, the energy is coming through and working in packets of information within your own system so that you will be able to get it. You will be able to grasp this concept and many others. So relax. Hang out with us for a few more minutes and let us help you understand how you get past this phase of your evolvement, your development, and jump back into the more preferred reality that is you. So how do we do it? We do it by being still, by getting quiet, by taking some deep breaths so that your human body will not react physiologically to your environment. Anything you can do to get yourself into a flow state will assist you in getting there faster and more comprehensively. And the more you practice going into that point of stillness for even a second at a time, the more powerful it becomes. Our partner has recorded a small tutorial of practices that you can use yourself in your everyday life to help you get there faster. It will also help your body feel better, your mind become clearer, and everything in your life to become more balanced. It will be attached to the recording of this transmission so that you may have it as a free tool. And we hope that you will give it a try and use it. In the meantime, we send you this information energetically. It is flowing from us into your heart right now and flowing into every part of your being to remind you that you are unlimited, infinite, and absolutely capable and ready to take on the next step of your evolvement, to take up the staff of being an immortal, unlimited being who has no fear, who has nothing to fear. Now, some of you, we can feel your minds saying, what about death? What about pain? What about lack? Remember, those are all constructs of this particular place where you are. If you can just trust yourself, which is all there is, and know without a doubt, even for a speck of a moment, that these things are not real, that they are an idea, a concept, and nothing more, nothing can harm you. It is a beautiful thing to turn your thoughts consciously as often as possible to what it is you do want in life, to what it is you do want to experience, to what it is you do want to achieve, rather than constantly feeding your mind, your body, and your spirit with things that contradict that, i.e., watching the news, getting into negative media, getting into arguments or debates with other people about belief systems or activities or occurrences in the life around you. Be still. Be neutral. Be like that giant boulder that sits in the middle of a raging river. Nothing budges it. The water rushes around it and eventually starts to polish it, making it a more beautiful structure than it was in the beginning. The boulder does not need to go with the river. The boulder sits in the middle. It sits in the middle of that raging river and diverts the energy around it. It literally allows the energy to transmute into a calmer energy downstream. That is your purpose. We hear some of you asking, what is your purpose? Your purpose is to be that neutral, balanced being. That being who allows everything to flow without getting all caught up in what the flow is doing. Start participating in things that give you joy, no matter how small or large, and trust that you're getting there. Be of service to others without asking for something in return. Trust that your inner being, which is speaking to you now, for that's who we really are, you on another level. Trust that you know the truth, that you do have access to everything you need at all times. And then act like it. Act like it. How do you know you're in that flow state? That flow state that will help you create a different reality from the one that you are perceiving now that causes you so much horror and pain? There are 3 things that we can tell you that are indicators that you're there. 1, you are no longer attached to the concept of time. In other words, you get so caught up in what you're doing or feeling that time passes without you noticing. We know you've engaged in that at times. Perhaps you've been driving your car and you realize 20 minutes later you're at your destination, but you don't remember how you got there. You were in the flow state. Your body still knows what to do and still acts accordingly in a safe and intelligent manner, but the rest of you, your consciousness, is in flow. Daydreaming about something wonderful, thinking about what it is you love, feeling gratitude, sending out forgiveness, sending out good feelings to others. That gets you into the flow state. Anything you do that makes you lose time, creating art, music, dance, running, hiking, swimming, meditating, will get you there. So, no concept of time is number 1. No concept of body, number 2. You forget about having this body. You forget for a moment or two all the things you think are wrong with it that need improvement. You forget about it being comfortable or uncomfortable, cold or hot. You just lose that sense. That's number 2. Number 3, you become detached from the importance of your environment around you. We know you've experienced this too. Perhaps you've been caught up in a good book or an interesting movie or amazing conversation, and yet all around you sirens are going off in your neighborhood and you don't hear them until someone says, "What's going on with all those sirens?" But you've been engaged in something much more important than what is going on in the outside environment. That's number 3. So, just knowing when you're in the flow state and being conscious of it is an exciting and very useful tool, because when you know what it feels like, you can program yourself to feel that way more and more and more. And you can do it simply by stating an intention. I recognize I'm in flow. I will stay focused on this state for as long as possible, and I will recreate it as often as possible. And when you do, it becomes more and more powerful and easier to attain. Being in the flow state will help you understand just how powerful you are. For when you are in flow, there is nothing to fear. When you are in flow, you are able to access that universal stream of conscious awareness, that cosmic mind that has all the information you need at any moment. It has all of the techniques that you need, the resources that you need to obtain or achieve what you need in each and every moment. The interesting thing is, the further you get into this practice, the further you get into this ability, this remembering of your own abilities, of being the creator, the more you do it, the happier you become, the more content you become, and the less you feel you need. And pertinent to our conversation today, the less you are afraid. Because you realize there is nothing to fear. Not even death, because there's no death. In this construct, human third-dimensional earth life, the body may let go of life, but it just changes form. No energy ever dies. It just changes form via the rate of oscillation, i.e., the frequency that it begins to go into. You never die. Many of you have had a near-death experience. Our partner has had two. And she would be the first to tell you that the minute you leave that body for even a split second, you realize there is no death, there is no pain. And the suffering was nothing more than a holographic exercise. It's like riding an amusement park ride into a haunted mansion. The special effects can be very, very convincing, and the ride can be quite thrilling, maybe even terrifying for a while. It may shake you around where your body feels uncomfortable. But soon, the ride exits the building, and you're back into the sunlight, and you realize it was just a simulation. That's all this is. So be brave and trust yourself. You put yourself here. You had many good reasons for it. And you're still here because you have more to do. Plain and simple. While you're here, why not start exercising and turning back on your superpowers? Get into the flow state. Feel it as we are sending it to you now. Get yourself in balance by focusing more on love, on caring, on compassion, on service to others, on what makes you happy, on being grateful for everything around you and everything within you that makes you happy and thankful, and forgiving everyone and everything, always. You must, because, remember, it's a simulation. And if you don't allow others the same grace that you are asking for right now, the grace to ascend those darker ends of the spectrum of this simulation, all you'll be doing is remaining stuck in that part of the simulation. What you focus on and what you allow yourself to feed yourself and feel pins you to the reality that you are currently in and feeling. So if you spend your entire day griping about your coworker and how awful they are, or railing against the powers that want to be for trying to control and enslave and exploit the human race, you are merely pinning yourself to that reality, and you will not see it change. Not much. The thing that gets you into the higher levels of that reality and beyond, where you can be happy, healthy, whole, and not have to deal with all of that duality, karma, negativity, darkness. The way you do it is to focus on the things that enhance that perspective. What gives you joy? What gives you peace? What causes you feelings of love, compassion, service, and gratitude? Remember, there is no one else. There's no one to blame. There's no one to be afraid of. It's all you. Everyone you see, everything that exists in this construct is merely a reflection of the multifaceted jewel that is your being. There is only one mind in the universe, and it is you. So forgive yourself first. Love yourself first. Be of service to yourself, as in take good care of that body, that mind, the environment that it is in. Take care of that planet. Take care of the other inhabitants close by you, and let that ripple out into the rest of the world, and soon you will feel the coherency and the comprehensive wholeness that is you. And there will be nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear. Walk through your life as if you have an invisible bubble surrounding you that is a force field. And you do. It is called your soul. It is an impermeable bubble that if you fill it with the correct frequency, the frequency of unconditional love, gratitude, forgiveness, and joy, nothing can penetrate it. Not really. And anything that is not resonant with that frequency that is within your bubble, once it hits the bubble, is transmuted and bounced back from whence it came. We know these are very esoteric concepts that we're trying to give you today. We've been teaching them to all of you for quite some time. But today, the energy is just right for you to receive it and literally begin to see evidence of the manifestation of what we're talking about in your world right now. As soon as you walk away from this transmission, you will start to notice, if you remain conscious and in the flow state, you will start to notice the evidence that you are not pinned to that other reality, that you are starting to focus and sustain that focus of the higher realms of your being. And once you do that, you're home free. You'll be able to do it more and more and more until one day you wake up and you realize, there really is nothing to be afraid of. Nothing. I have control of all of it. And the control starts here, in your heart, in your mind, and in your actions, your words. We hope that message helps. And before we get to any questions that you may have from us, we would like to take you through just a few minutes of guided reception, of receiving of the energetic information we've been trying to send to you on a conscious level. If you will, close your eyes and relax. And remember that your breath is the bridge between the current construct from whence you are coming and the bigger part of yourself, the all that is. So take a deep breath with us. Now open your mouth and sigh it out. Take another deep breath. Pull in that higher vibration. And as you breathe out, release everything that is not that higher vibration. As you breathe in, begin to feel the energy that we are sending to you now. And let it soak into every part of your being. And as you breathe out, begin to release that to the world. Share it with others. Breathing in, visualize sparkling white light coming in and affecting everything in your being in the most positive, most loving way. And as you breathe out, visualize those sparkling white stars of energy going out to the people around you, the situations around you, the world. Let this be your practice consciously throughout the day, moment to moment, day by day. Whenever you can remember, breathe in that sparkling white light, that highest vibrational energy that you can imagine from Source, the highest level of yourself, the Creator. Pull it in. See it affecting and going through every part of your being, healing, balancing, rejuvenating, upgrading, turning on all the switches of all of your powers. And then as you breathe out each time, perhaps direct that energy to someone around you or to someone who may be thousands, millions of miles away from you, who you have non-coherence with yet. Watch them start to change, because the higher vibrations always affect the lower vibrations in a positive way, not the other way around. Only you giving permission to a lower vibrational state to come into your being can it affect you negatively. It's a choice. So breathe in that star energy, the energy of creation, and breathe out manifestation of your highest ideals, your highest desires. With your eyes closed, now visualize what your world would be like if it morphed into your dream life. Would you be engaged with cosmic beings in the physical realm, day to day, like you are your neighbors? Would everyone have perfect abundance and therefore no reason to fight or try to control anything? Would your world be pure, clean, free of toxins? Would all beings be equal? Would all beings be able to spend their lives creating, celebrating, enjoying themselves and each other as their way of being? Creating new universes consciously, not just unconsciously, the way you do now, with all your words, your thoughts, your feelings. Take a moment to visualize that perfect world. And know that you have created it by your very action of thought and feeling. Allow yourself to feel what it feels like to live here. Take a few moments to put yourself there right now and give it all the sensory information you can. What does the world look like? What do you look like? How does it feel to be here, unlimited? What does it smell like, feel like, sound like, taste like? Take a few moments. Put yourself there. Do it now as we assist you. Begin to ramp up your feelings. Feel the vibrational state of pure being, of pure freedom, of pure love. This is your natural state. This is who you are in reality. Remember, you are just focused on one tiny idea, this science lab that you created to explore and discover things through feelings. You have the key to the escape room. And that key is going within, allowing yourself to be in flow more consciously every moment of every day, and transmitting that feeling state out to others with your breath, with your heart. Nothing to fear, for fear does not really exist except in this tiny little science lab. We thank you for allowing us to transmit this message and this energetic support. We will continue to support you as we now invite you to interact with us. You may ask your questions in the chat, and we'll be happy to interact with you for another few moments. One of our friends says it is difficult to have no fear when facing false criminal charges. The courts are biased. Yes, the courts are biased many times in this construct. Remember, you cannot change something from the environment from which the problem started. It's a general law of physics. So you must be able to work at it from a different level. How can we explain this to you in a way that you will understand it? Resistance only causes more resistance. If you try to fight something, if you try to control something, if you try to manipulate something, it might budge a little and you might feel like you're making progress. However, the quicker way is to go within and do the exercise that we just did with you. Envision the outcome that you would like without trying to control how it occurs. Very important. When you try to control something, it pushes back. It causes resistance and either slows things down or completely topples you into its own energy. You must be able to go within and literally state the intention of that which you wish. And this is very important. And then allow it to fly out into the rest of reality without trying to control how the outcome happens. Usually that outcome will occur, but from a place that you never imagined, in a way that you never imagined. What some of you might call from left field. A surprising interaction. A surprising new development. Something that you never imagined. And why is that? Because when we try to control, when we try to fight, when we worry or become stressed over something, we are literally pinning ourselves to the past. And the past only contains the information that has already occurred, and it is very stagnant and slow moving. In fact, it doesn't move. It is the past. And so, if you want change, you must remove yourself from the past, which means removing yourself from your current worries, your fears, your anxieties, your thoughts that you keep going over and over and over in your head about the situation. And this pertains to all situations, by the way. You must stop and move towards focusing on what it is you do want. You go inward via meditation or whatever flow state you can get into, and only, even if it's for a second or two each day, only focus on the feeling state of having the outcome have already occurred. Feel what it feels like to be victorious over this false accusation, over these false charges. Feel in every part of your being. Visualize it, what it would be to receive the notification or to hear a judgment that is in your favor completely, and you are completely exonerated and free to live your life with no negative repercussions. Feel it. And do that as often as you possibly can. We recommend meditation, or the practice that our partner is going to share with you after this transmission, to get into that state where you literally can manifest it. Because you're going into the unknown, and the unknown is where all of the magic happens. Because the unknown does not contain the past. And remember, if you work from things that you know in the past, or that you've been attached to in the past, your thoughts, your feelings about all of this, you're pinning yourself to that reality, and you will not make headway. When you trust, with a capital T, that your inner being is all-knowing and all-powerful, and that you create your reality with your thoughts and feelings, especially your feelings, and you go into that flow state and envision what it is you do want, you create it. Every thought, every feeling you have creates your reality on different frequencies. Your job is to jump from the frequency where you live right now, where you're struggling with this court system, into the life where you have already won. Many beings on your planet have proven this to work. We know that it works because that is why we exist. We're here to tell you right now, all of you do eventually get this, and you do achieve it. You achieve the power to stay focused on what it is you do want, especially when it comes from a pure state of heart, from that pure feeling state of unconditional love, of not blaming the people in the courts, for instance, or blaming the people who are accusing you, or blaming all of the people who aren't getting it. When you can release yourself from that for even a nanosecond, it's so much more powerful than where you were. Every moment spent in that flow state, every moment spent in meditation is hundreds, no, thousands of times more powerful than all the hours and days and weeks and months and years that you have spent trying to fight that system. We promise you. Because you are working from a much higher frequency, it contains so much more power. We hope you'll work from there and watch your life start to unfold more preferred, in a more preferred manner. We promise you And it doesn't matter what the situation is. This is just one example, and thank you, dear one, for bringing it up. It's a perfect example. Stop fighting that which is not your preferred reality. And start putting all of your focus on what is and making it happen. You do have to do the work. So start loving people, forgiving people, living as if you have already been exonerated. Do the things that you are waiting to do when you are given that release from the blame. Start living that way now. Your world will change. Thank you so much. We're going through and seeing if there's any other question here. Another beautiful soul says, but I crave more. My heart aches to help others more. Do it. Doesn't have to be in some gigantic explosion of activity. Start small. Do something for your neighbor. Maybe do it anonymously. Buy a tea or a coffee for the person behind you in line and walk away before they even know that it's happened. Smile as you walk by. Send love. Spend time again in the flow state, in meditation if you will, whatever your preferred way. And envision yourself doing more in the positive way that you wish. Ask yourself, what are my current gifts and how can I expand on them? What are my hidden gifts and how can I access them? And then be quiet and allow that information to come in. Allow the universe to show you plainly, and it will, with synchronicities and all sorts of interesting occurrences. Let it show you how to proceed. You'll get the clues. You have to stay conscious, though. Open your eyes. Look around you. Stop just looking at that tiny box that you're all buried in 90% of your waking hours. Look around you. Life is giving you information always. There's a message in every interaction. Allow yourself to receive that. And you'll be able to do more. And we will be so grateful because that is how we all evolve. Another beautiful soul says, a lot of family and old friends are spewing hatred towards me recently. We understand. You live in a volatile little construct, that science lab that you're in right now. Your partners are getting tired of the situation as well, and they're getting irritated, and they like to place blame on others. They don't understand that every one of you has complete access to all that is. That you can change your reality with your thoughts and especially with your feelings. But you have to remain consciously focused on that which you do prefer. And you have to let go of being addicted, forgive us for saying that strong word, but addicted to painful, reoccurring situations. Many of you are addicted to pain and suffering, and you don't even know it because you're afraid of the unknown. At least pain and suffering that you're used to. You know what to expect from it. You kind of know how to navigate that. But it just causes more pain and suffering. It pins you to that reality. So, when family and old friends spew hatred towards you, look at them with love. Send unconditional love, knowing that eventually they will understand too. this process. Bless them with forgiveness. You don't have to be a doormat. You don't have to stay there and take the punches. But bless them, forgive them. Thank them for being your teachers because they're teaching you what you don't want to be like, right? Send them unconditional love and then focus on someone else. Focus on others. Especially focus on what's in here. Love yourself. Love yourself so much, not in an egotistical way, but in a holistic way, that you are nothing more than a walking, talking beacon of love. When you get to that place, you will realize that nothing people say or do to you can harm you. Again, it's all a simulation. Only you can allow other people to hurt you. Only you. Because you don't take the time or the energy to focus on something that is more preferred, something you can be grateful for. And we promise you, there is always something right next to you that you can be thankful for, right within you that you can be thankful for, that you can love, that you can be joyful about. Focus on this. And because the energy of the people who you're talking about is not resonant with that, they will either kind of fall away out of your life, and that's okay. Don't be attached to anything. Or they will come up in frequency and match you and start to be more coherent with you in a more pleasant and preferred reality. Now, when I say don't be attached to anything, especially the people you care about, we don't mean that in a cold sense of the word. Remember, this is a simulation. It's an experimental science lab. You're all playing a part. In the greater reality, when you leave this construct, you will see that you are all one and that you all love one another equally. And that there is no reason for hatred or blame or sadness or pain. And you'll all laugh and say, wow, we did that part right, but we did not do that part right. You want to try it again? Some of you may. Some of you might switch up parts, responsibilities in the science lab. And some of you may decide to not return to this particular construct and move into a higher level of being, or any level of being that you choose to explore, because that's who you really are. An eternal being of unlimited capability and infinite potential. You can do and be anything you want. But you have to do the work of consciously focusing. We hope that helps. Right, so we'll go back through and see if there are any more questions. Someone asked who we're channeling, and we are channeling the beings known as the Star Teachers. This transmission is being recorded, and it will be available to everyone within 24 hours. And you can go back and see the history of who we are. But for want of a tiny explanation, we are nothing more than you, having evolved to a higher level of frequency focus. That's why we're giving you this message now. In the physical third dimensional earth life, we eventually, especially in this pinnacle time of your being, discovered how to let go of all of the negative aspects of that construct. You let go of fear, you let go of limitation, and you begin to ascend into higher and higher levels of creative power. Eventually, You traveled off-world, you began new civilizations, you interacted and interwove yourselves with other civilizations, and we were eventually created. You might call us an ET group entity because we don't live on your planet. However, we do reach down through the frequencies to give you little post-it note reminders of who you really are, which is us on another level. We're here to remind you that you actually do this, that you actually do achieve what you might call ascension to the higher levels of reality, which are the real levels of reality. Where you are now is just an imaginary construct, kind of an amusement for the soul, if you will. We hope that helps. Another person asked, I would like to know if I have a hybrid alien child. Most of you on the current third dimensional earth plane who are watching this transmission or listening to it do of course have hybrid children. As we just explained, as you become more and more self-aware again, as you remember who you really are, you are not limited to just this particular frequency or dimension. And you do interact with many, many civilizations who are all part of you. So in a sense of the word, there is no hybrid, if you want to go to that extreme. But if you're speaking of earth plane children with unique capabilities from other civilizations, absolutely. And we would say absolutely you do. Please know that most of you who are listening to this transmission are hybrid children. In fact, all of you on the planet are. I mean, everyone is hybridized in some sense of the word from other energetic forces that help create the world up to this point with your co-creation of frequency decision making. You can connect with your hybrid children. Again, we're going to give you the same answer by going into meditation, being still, setting out the intention that you would like to connect and have a relationship with them if that is your desire, and then be still and allow to come what comes without resistance, without any analysis. We would love for you to share what your experiences are in the future. Thank you. We are looking here for other questions. Another person asked, how do you start that work? Again, the answer is simple. Find a quiet place. Reduce all distraction. Maybe start by watching your breath, setting an intention for what it is you want to explore, and then be still and quiet. Give yourself enough time to experience something, even if it's just stillness for a moment, and then leave and let that be a practice. For those of you who are just coming onto the transmission, again, our partner has a process to help you connect much more quickly and will help to rebalance your body and your spirit and your mind and your energy field. And that will be attached to the recording of this transmission in the next day or so. So that will address those questions as well. So how you start the work is to be quiet, to allow yourself to be joyful, to be grateful, and to be still. How do you confirm that you yourself are a starseed? Well, we think we answered that question again. All of you are. At the beginning of this physical realm, this third dimensional earth realm, this planet, there was no conscious organic life. all things have consciousness. So even the construct of the planet has a consciousness, and it's a great one, by the way. But how humans came about was a long, beautiful, absolutely deliberate process of creation, co-creation between many, many other civilizations. And that's how it has been going on for millennia, billions of millennia. Again, it's a science lab, so different aspects of different civilizations were put into the petri dish of your ocean, from the stars, from other dimensions, given a good stir, the breath of life, and then allowed to evolve the way you evolved. Star seeds exist in every one of you. You all have a connection. As one of your great scientists, Carl Sagan, said, we are all made of star stuff, and it is true in the physical dimension. But there's so much more than the physical dimension. And you are so much more than any idea of what you could be. You are infinite and eternal, and you have the capability of communing and communicating with anyone at any time. And again, that process can come more easily to you if you practice what will be shared with you later. We hope that helps. All right. What hurts my soul most is people believing false narratives, including those from our government. We understand that your soul hurts when people believe the things that you don't believe. But please know that all belief systems, all narratives are true and effective for the people who believe in them. Please also know that every being on all timelines, on all frequencies, all come from the same singularity, the same point of source. And all beings have the capability and the ultimate destination of returning back over and over again to that singularity until they decide to express in a different way. So please know that everyone is walking the path. The destination is always the same. But that each person, in each moment of their life, is walking the path in their own particular way for their own learning, for their own teaching, for their own evolvement, and at their own pace. Some people may even waver off of that path into lots of little tributary subpaths. And to you, that might seem crazy, ridiculous, horrifying, dangerous. But we're here to tell you, try not to be caught up in the ego bias of wanting to detain them, pull them back, dare we say, interfere with their progress, because it's their progress. The way you bring yourself into a preferred reality and help others to get there as well, the preferred reality we hope you are referring to is one of happiness, joy, peace, equality, harmony, coherence, abundance. The way you do that is to walk the path from the purest place of your own heart without interfering in someone else's way of walking the path. We know this is difficult. In the human third dimensional earth life, you've been taught, programmed, indoctrinated to believe that There is right and there is wrong, and that the people who are right, who perceive themselves as right, have the truth, should try to make everyone else walk that same truth. But it's not correct. The truth is the truth for each person, because each person is one tiny facet of an enormous jewel. It's a holographic jewel, and so every facet contains all of the information, all of the potential of the jewel. But if you were to look at the jewel through each facet, you would see it from a different point of perspective. So the people that you love or that you care about, who you feel are walking or living or believing in the situation of false narratives, of unpreferred narratives in your estimation, they're just reflecting parts of the jewel back to you. And this is important information that you need to be looking at within yourself. We know that's hard to hear, but everything you see in others is a message from another part of yourself about something that you might want to polish up a little bit more. And don't interfere in their progress on the path. If they ask for your help, offer it freely. Offer it joyfully. Offer it however is best for you. But if they're not asking, don't get involved. Bless them, let them be them. Focus on your own progress. Now, if they're impeding your progress on the path, it's your decision to go within and focus on another way to get around that obstacle. Maybe you dissolve the roadblock with your love. Maybe you develop the ability to jump over the wall, no matter how high it is, with your forgiveness. We hope we're communicating. No need to worry about everyone else. They'll all be fine eventually, but at their own pace. Thank you. And so, our time has run out, and we want to honor your time for this day, in this moment of the eternal now. We wish to thank you and bless you, especially for what you are preparing to do. Because from this moment on, you make the decision, most of you, to walk out into that world and be more conscious, more loving, more forgiving, more joyful, more grateful. And because of that work, we exist. And we exist to remind you that you do this work and you achieve that ascension, that movement into the higher levels of your being. We promise it's a beautiful level. We shall meet you there. In Lakesh, we are another you.